You're welcome. You're welcome. If you haven't actually, why don't you leave it on that?
You betcha.
Information
You
director,
as a matter of
please.
fact, just for posterity. Thank you. Okay, hey, I am Luke Bonk, which I am from the Nebraska Association of County Officials. Thank you so much for having me. Very briefly on me, I'm a research analyst over there. So basically, one of my jobs is to figure out how bills are going to affect county government when they come from the governor's team, senator, special interest groups, whatever it is. And we're going around to all 93 counties as we do every year just to give general NACO updates. John is fond of saying that we are your employees, and so we think it's incumbent upon us to just give you an update as to what we're up to and what we will be up to in the coming months and the coming years. This year, we're doing something just a little bit different and handing out this packet of information. This packet of information is intended to basically supplement what I am going to say. That way, you don't have to take a bunch of notes as I try to jet through everything. And that way, I can kind of stay high level instead of giving you all the details, such as the dates of all of these events. So this first sheet here, just general NACO info. It's got events that are coming up, events that have already happened as well as ways that you can stay connected with us. On that second sheet is going to be your county profile. Now, a couple things on this. You are aware, I think, of the Nebraska County Explorer page in which we have searched. We've gone all over the internet and we put together a page for all 93 counties. Basically, stats, data on your county. We don't think it's fair for county officials to have to carry all the information around in your back pocket, right? So instead of that, we have this webpage that we've designed. We are redesigning the webpage. We are starting to put them up. Unfortunately, you fall alphabetically at the end of the alphabet. So we are working on updating your page actually as we speak. We're going to have a new County Explorer page. We will have a new fact sheet. The thing I will say about this is when the new one comes out, if you see something on there that looks accurate, for example, I mistakenly put somebody else's map on a different county and they called me up and they said, that is not Hamilton County's map. And I said, no, it is not. I apologize. I was able to change it that day and get that information changed. So if you see something that looks off or that looks wrong, please contact me. Next page, we put in there as an example, it says understanding your county share of your property taxes. Here's why I put this in here. I'm not here to talk specifically about property taxes. The point of putting this in is this. We are having numerous discussions with senators, with the governor's team, a variety of individuals about a variety of topics. We have found that when we include some type of one-pager in our discussion, the discussion has gone much better. It's proven to be much more effective because if we can go to a state senator or their aide and say, listen, we understand that this is the issue. This is how the issue will affect county government. This is how it's going to affect revenue or county services. Here's what we think are some actionable steps you might consider taking. And if we can give them something to walk away from, they are starting to carry these onto the floor of the legislature and tell the story of county government. And we think that's really, really powerful because we want your story to be told. We want the good work that you're doing to be told on the floor of the legislature. So you'll see more and more of those primers, more and more of those one-pagers. Excuse me. The last few pages I'm not going to go through. I will simply say that I understand that we sent out a survey several months ago about what you would like to hear about at our annual NACO updates. And these are some of the things, some of the resources that you can look at. In particular, our preferred partners. If you're interested in the lease purchase program, office supplies, staffing, we have particular companies there, which we encourage you to use. They are our preferred partners. Some of the more specific things that you asked me to speak about. Cybersecurity was something that York County officials reported that they were interested in. You can contact Candace for a list of providers, and if you're looking for education for your staff, Applied Connective is going to be your go-to programming for that. Salary study, the GIS dashboard. If you have questions about that, if you'd like a tutorial, please contact me. Budgeting or financial planning tools, that's going to be Candace or Beth. Our purchasing programs, as I said, they are in our preferred partners, so you can go through there and find the person that you want to connect with. The other things that you asked to talk about, I'm going to talk about, there were some some responses about the land use 663 renewable energy. Put that on hold. I'm going to talk about that briefly in just a couple of minutes. And then finally, you asked about mental health first aid and Live Healthy. Those can both be found under the services, the partner provided services on our NACO's website. A couple of more specific things that have to do with the legislature. 663 came out this year. 663 was a planning and zoning bill, and it had to do with county board, how county boards in zone counties are making decisions. When this came out, it essentially is being called a shot clock bill, because if a conditional use permit comes before you on solar, wind, data centers, whatever it is, if the county board does not take action on it, they don't review it, they don't approve it or deny it, it automatically becomes approved, okay? And this has obviously serious ramifications for counties, county residents, so on and so forth. So what President Valerie Bell did was she got a committee together. It's the Land Use Committee, and we've put together a document. I think we've sent out this document, so I'm not going to belabor this point too much. But just a couple things that you need to know about that. We've put out the Land Use Toolkit. It is not intended to be read as a book. It's like 100 pages. I'm not joking. It's 100 pages that we knocked out in probably 8 to 12 weeks. It's intended to be a playbook instead. For example, if a particular issue comes to your attention, maybe it's solar, maybe it's wind, and a permit comes to you, the goal is for you to go to the glossary, go to the index, say, okay, solar, pull out those 4 to 5 pages, become educated as to what this issue is, and then there's a list of considerations, questions that you can ask so that you can process this. There's some other things in there. There's information about comp plans, planning, and zoning. This is no false flattery. I'm just telling you, your county, you guys have your act together. Not all counties do. They're a little bit behind. I'm not bagging on any one county. We wear many hats, right? And sometimes this is fallen by the wayside. I know you guys have your stuff together, but if you need additional information, education, comp plans, moratoriums, whatever it is, we've gone through and we've essentially outlined all of those best practices. So that's out there. You can certainly reach out to me about that information. Legislative session. This next legislative session is going to be the long session, not just figuratively, it's literally going to be the long session. We are anticipating, because I'm sure you've seen the budget projections coming from the state, each quarter the gap has gotten a little bit, I think we're up to something like $1 billion or something like that, somewhere in that area. I think we're coming up on that. So all of which is to say is that money is going to be tight. We expect them to come again for the inheritance tax like they did last year. I will tell you that NACO's position philosophically on the inheritance tax hasn't been that we are for it or against it. We're simply saying if you're going to take $100 million away from county government, we would like to know how you are going to make counties whole with that money. So if you want to take it, we would like to talk about revenue replacement. That's really where the discussion is. And when we tell county government story, because I think there's this perception out there among state officials, maybe some senators, that the inheritance tax is just this big giant money bin that counties are accumulating. And when we say, well, actually, they're buying down the levy, they're buying law enforcement cruisers, they're fixing courthouses, they're doing all of these services that they're using the money for. There's a big pause, and they say, oh, we didn't know that. And so now the discussion is, okay, well, if we'd like the inheritance tax to go away, where is that money going to come from? We don't know where that discussion is going to be. We are planning to play defense and planning to engage in discussions with whoever might want to have that discussion. Most recently in the session, we passed several things which had to do with sort of, I would call the nuts and bolts of county government. I understand and respect that there's a lot of what you might call cultural war issues going on in the legislature. That's taking up a lot of time. NACO's position has always been, we will let you have those discussions, we encourage that, but we're more interested in building roads, building bridges, and making county government more efficient. And we found some efficiencies last session. We're going to continue to try to find some efficiencies this upcoming session. But that's kind of the big updates. I would encourage you to subscribe to the 93, but also Beth's legislative newsletter. If you haven't already, it's 5 to 6 pages. You really don't even need to read all of those pages. What you just need to find is your bill. And Beth does a tremendous job of saying, okay, here's the bill, here's how it affects county government, and then finally, here's where we think it's going to go, here's where we think it's at, and NACO's position on that. We do have the upcoming legislative conference, which we'll be having more discussions. So I've kind of like cut off discussions about legislature because it's so old. And now the focus is going to be on what these issues are going to be on the upcoming session. So that conference is going to be upcoming. The last thing I'll say is the district meetings are upcoming. We are going to be there. We'll probably be talking more about the land use committee and other specific legislative issues. So we encourage all of you guys to be there. I talk really fast. I get to the point in a hurry, and that was a dump truck load of information. I would ask for any questions if you have any. If not, I'm happy to leave my business card. I do try to get back to people the same business day, if not the next business day. So any questions that I can answer right now?
With the LB 663, has Senator Storr, has there been conversations with Senator Storr? Because usually the bill comes out, we find tweaks, we find different things like that. And through the land use committee, I don't remember if anybody had said, are we reaching out to her about things that we see that we would like to change in it, or do you know that?
I don't think so. I think the land use, okay, so let me back up. When this bill originally came out, we jumped in front of it and said, for some counties, this will be not a problem. For other counties, this could be a big deal because they don't meet, they meet once a month, and it's very difficult. There were some other things that came up. We tried to jump in front of this and said, we're not sure about this idea. We worked with Senator Storr's office. When it became clear that this bill was going to go forward, as we always do, we said, okay, can we work together on this bill? And so this is the best that we could craft. I don't know if there's any discussions right now to change anything or take anything away. The land use committee was simply saying, and just to be clear, NACO's position was not that we are pro-solar or anti-solar, pro-wind or anti-wind. That's not what we're saying. We're simply saying, if one of these projects comes before a county board, here are the questions you need to ask. Here are the best practices you need to implement so you can do what's best for your county. Because every county can do something different, right? Some counties like some stuff, some counties don't. More to your point, I don't think there's any discussions right now about what might change for that bill. However, if somebody brings something to NACO's attention, legislative conference, that's something we could entertain. But the committee's primary purpose was to figure out how we can abide by the law and how we can institute some best practices for 663.
She seemed to indicate at the June meetings that, when she was there, she kind of got under the gun just a little bit. She seemed to indicate that
I think the intent,
it kind of got pushed through and things aren't understood. There's even different interpretations of what it actually means. So
there's
hope there's some clarity.
I think there's some tweaks, probably some clarity that's going to be forthcoming. I know that some folks thought that this was only going to apply to livestock, for example. We're thinking about Cherry County, just for Senator Storr's neck of the woods. And then obviously when it came down, there was the general agreement that no, this was not going to be livestock. This was going to be all siting decisions and all siting permits, which is a very, very big ripple effect. Will that be clarified in the future? I don't know, but I do know that she's been a great partner to work with, even if you don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything. So I think that she's open to discussions, and I think other senators are probably open to discussions as well. So probably more to come on that.
You mentioned something about the legislative, that's in Burwell this year.
Yes.
Towards the end of the year, isn't it?
I think October. Yes.
16th.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love Burwell.
I've got a question from a different area. On the county profile sheet, it says 64% of York County is a high school graduate or higher. Is that accurate? That seems kind of low.
I don't know. I think that's accurate. We're taking our numbers from census data.
Okay.
So I'm happy to look into that. Somebody else had a question from a different county and I'm blanking. They said, is that really our voter turnout? And I said, I think so. I'm taking it from the Secretary of State's website. But let me take a look at that and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, I was looking at some of the other counties. I was like, Seward was like 92 or something like that. It's like, there's no way there's that much of a spread, I wouldn't think. But anyway.
I wouldn't think either. Usually these things cluster together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll check on. I'll get back to you.
All right, thanks.
Perfect. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll grab my stuff and be out of here. I know you have a very busy agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Bring
makes
him
sense.
in like this is
All right. Why don't we drop down? We've got Carrie here. We'll talk about District 5 probation. We have an interlocal agreement. Do you have comments to make on that?
Unless you need me to make comments.
Of course. We'll discuss that first. Go ahead and get situated, and then we'll talk about the budget request. So discuss and act on problem-solving court interlocal agreement with District 5 probation. I believe that was emailed out to us. I did talk to Gary in his office, reviewed it, and has no problem with it. So, let's see here.
Do you need me to state both of our names?
We will need that, yes. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Carrie Rodriguez. I'm the Chief of District 5 Probation. I'm out of the Columbus office, but I travel throughout all 11 of the counties that we serve. This is Morgan Campbell. She's the Chief Deputy of District 5 Probation, and she is housed here in York County. And she also serves all 11 counties.
Good.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what is there any high level points you wanna tell us about the interlocal?
The interlocal doesn't have any changes except for the years. So it comes due every 2 years. It's the agreement between York County and Seward County to continue with Judge Decker's problem-solving court, also known as drug court here in York County. We know from research that problem-solving courts are the most effective form of intervention there is for long-term substance use individuals. And your program here has been pretty successful since it was implemented back in 2015.
This is the same agreement, right? Hadn't changed. I think the place, I remember last time we signed it, is paragraph 5 where it says county agrees to provide at no cost to probation office space necessary and office equipment. This is done within the space you already obtained,
Yes,
not only in the exterior building, but in the room downstairs.
yes. So we did not need any additional space or supplies for it. You guys obviously just expanded our space for us, which has been working very well, gave us a second group room and a drug testing area for individuals in the morning. And that is, I can't tell you how grateful we are to not be sitting on top of each other and sharing offices anymore. So thank you for that.
Very good. Comments or questions on the interlocal agreement?
I'd make a motion to approve the signing of the interlocal agreement. By the chairman, I should say.
Very good. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Overmeyer.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, the floor is yours for budget request.
I will just take the signed copy of this when you have it. Then I will scan it up to my boss. You can see the Seward County Board already signed it. My boss will sign it, and then I'll send it back to Mary for you guys to have on file here at work. Okay, the budget request information, we use the information from the previous calendar year to figure out our request for this fiscal year based on all of the services that we provided. So the information contained in the book is from January through December of 2025. Statutorily, it is figured out for all 11 counties based on the census population and the number of individuals that we served through investigations and or probation/problem-solving court supervision. We did not raise our budget, the bottom line of our budget, but because of the way that we have to calculate it, every county has increases or decreases every year based on those percentages I just discussed. So Morgan will start us off with the front half of the book, and then I will close this out.
Good morning, everyone. So you can see in the front page where it has our mission, our probation vision and mission. Those have recently been updated within the last couple of years. And down below, obviously, you'll see the state of Nebraska, and then more in particular, our counties that District 5 does cover, all 11 of those counties. The next page you'll see is District 5 at a glance. Currently, we have 66 staff members. We served in 2025, 3,758 individuals with either investigations and or supervision. We serve 4 district court judges and 5 county court judges, and we sit on several community teams, and those community teams are listed there. Who serves York County? That section there talks about the officers who serve this county, along with our clerical support and our drug technicians. And down below is our management team that serves all 11 counties that we have in District 5, including York. The next page you'll see, page 3, it talks about a closer look at York County investigations and or supervision in 2025. So in 2025 adult investigations, we had 166. That was an increase from 2024, where it was 138. Adult supervision, we had 299 that we served in York County, and that was a decrease from 2024 with 344. Problem-solving court kind of stayed a little similar. We had 20 in 2025, and then of course 33 in 2024, so maybe a slight decrease. So therefore, in 2025 in York County for adults, we served 485 individuals either through supervision and or investigation or problem-solving court. Youth investigations, we had an uptake in youth investigations. In 2024, we had 10, but in 2025, we had 22. Youth supervision also increased. It went from 30 in 2024 to 42 in 2025. And that was a total of 64. So in York County alone in 2025, we served 549 adult and youth, either in investigations, supervision, and or problem-solving court. Any questions on taking a closer look at York County? The next 2 pages you'll see is demographic information. You'll see, you can see in adult age, we serve roughly about 31 to 40 range. I would say that's pretty consistent across the state of Nebraska. Adult gender, we serve more of the male population. That is also very consistent across the state of Nebraska compared to the females. The next one is adult race, which we serve more Caucasians, which is pretty normal across the state of Nebraska. I'd say the only county that is an outlier in our district is Colfax County. And then of course the non-Hispanic population is what we serve more. The next page is the juvenile age. And you'll see that York County kind of has very similar when it comes to the juvenile age. It's not much of a difference between them. However, you'll see that probably the 17-year-old is probably the most when it comes to juvenile age that we're serving here in York County. And again, it's more the 17-year-old males that we're serving more in York County. Again, that is consistent across the state of Nebraska. Again, you see that juvenile race, which would be white, again, Caucasians. Again, that is, again, consistent, except for Delaware, Colfax County, and of course, the non-Hispanic. Any questions on the demographic information for York County individuals that we are serving? Okay.
These next 2 pages are the brochure for our reporting center. The reporting center in District 5 is out of the Columbus office, but we do run satellite groups here out of the York office. So we pay treatment providers to come in and run these classes for us. Here in York, we do pay a treatment provider to come over here and do it as well. That is out of the state's budget. There was a UNL study that was completed that showed that individuals that complete these classes have long-term success not coming back in the system because it helps build skills that they previously were lacking in their lives. All of the classes that we offer are also offered virtually, so if individuals have transportation problems, we can have them attend the classes without having to come physically into the office, but we do prefer to get people into the offices so that we have eyes on them and we know where they are and what they're doing. At the bottom of the 2nd page of the brochure, you can see the dollar amount that was spent on the reporting center for District 5. That is the state's payment amount, $107,005.25 for those classes offered last year. This next page is services that were provided on the adult side of probation and paid for by probation for York County individuals. Probation is the payer of last resort statutorily, so first we send it through insurance. If people don't have insurance, we send people up from Medicaid. We talk with the regions about funding. Some county attorneys' offices have funding for individuals. If there's no other payer source, then probation steps in and pays for the service that is needed. You can see the most expensive service for adults out of York was transitional living, which is what we have seen in every county in District 5. Transitional living homes are for individuals that really don't have any other place to live. Normally, if an individual is coming out of prison, a lot of them go to transitional living homes in the interim. Otherwise, on their way to residential treatment or on their way back from residential treatment, usually individuals live in these homes while they work to reintegrate into society, and we get them sober and set up with employment within the communities. So the state total for those services was $68,693 last year. Any questions on any of those services on the adult side?
On page 10, it says Seward County there. Is that just a typo or is this really our data?
Oh, no, this is you, sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine, I was just curious.
This next page is the start of the problem-solving board information. So that's the interlocal agreement you just signed. The problem-solving court is for individuals that are facing felony offenses that are nonviolent. The root cause has to be a substance use addiction, and they have to be high-risk, high-need individuals. Individuals in this program would be in prison if it was not for this program. But we know that individuals generally that go into the prison will be back in prison. Interventions aren't put into place. The problem-solving court success rate in the state hovers somewhere around the mid-80% range. It goes up and down, usually about 84 to 87% success rate without individuals coming back into our system or having new crimes. The program is a minimum of 18 months. The very first thing that individuals have to do when they enter the program is to go to treatment for their substance use, because that's the obvious underlying issue that needs addressed before we can get them integrated back into society appropriately. The second page, having to do with the problem-solving court, shows you the costs associated that were in that program last year. Short-term residential and halfway houses were the top two costs for that program. So, of course, treatment was number one, and then a halfway house is similar to transitional living, a place for an individual to live until we can get them stable. Judge Stecker asked that I let you know that because this program is high risk, high need, those are the individuals that are served in that program. There are different quadrants for individuals and how they need help. So low risk, low need individuals, that's what your diversion programs are for. As you are aware, Gary has launched a pretty healthy diversion program over here for that. And then the middle quadrants are for individuals on probation that need those services that aren't as intensive as the problem-solving court program is. Any questions on the problem-solving
When
court?
you talk about success rate for problem solving, are you talking about making it through problem solving court that 8 months, or the recidivism? I can never say that word right.
Recidivism.
Recidivism.
Nice try.
Is that the success?
Yes, the success is they graduate the program and they don't come back into the program within the next 3 years. That's the statutory definition, is to not if they don't have a new law violation within 3 years of successful completion of the program.
So you talked about a state number being 84%.
Yes.
What's York County's number? You know.
Actually, that's what Gary was just texting me asking when Morgan was talking. He's gonna be on a podcast for the state on Friday, he said, discussing that, and he wants me to get. Has historically been in the low 90s, but I did not split it out per county. So your problem solving court here has had better success rate than the rest of the state.
So then, as far as success, as far as I'm concerned, is somebody that enters the program and finishes the program. Do we know that percentage, who enters it and who successfully finishes it?
We have to hand track those numbers. The state gives us the statewide information, but we do hand track those numbers. I just didn't bring them with me today. So I'm also gonna get those for Gary, so I'll bring them to you as well.
You just forward them to Mary and then she can send them on. It'd be interesting to see that number too.
Yeah, I'll try to get them to you in the next couple days.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the report? Okay, this next section is juvenile and the services we provide for kids out of York County. Judge Homoka, I always let the judges look over the presentation. Judge Homoka wanted me to make it known that for some reason there's a 71% increase in York County in youth, not just criminal, but also HHS cases since last year. So the juvenile court's been very busy, which also shows in your numbers that you saw the increase that Morgan went over with you at the beginning of the book. We always try to keep kids in the home whenever we can. The research shows removing kids from home isn't effective in most instances because kids run back to their homes. That's what they know, that's what they're from. So we try to put services in place in the homes that help the entire family. So we send therapists into the homes to work with youth. If they do have to be removed from the home, of course, we do that, but it's not long-term. HHS is the only agency that can keep youth away from their families indefinitely in the court process. 10 of the kids on probation out of the 42 were taken out of the home at some point in 2025. And your most expensive cost was for detention for youth over here in York County. And you can see the total cost to the state was $277,000. Any questions on any of these services for kids? Okay, we are on call 24/7, 365. If a youth has a new law violation and law enforcement doesn't think it's safe for the community, if the youth returns home without any interventions, they call us, we go out, respond, we have a screening tool we do, we interview the youth, the family, law enforcement, then we decide what's gonna happen with that kid. So they could go home with a GPS monitor, we can put them in a crisis stabilization shelter so that they have a therapist on hand, we can put them in an emergency foster home, or we can put them in a detention center if they're a big risk or a threat to the community. We also respond if there are any out-of-state runaways. We have to respond and help return that youth to their home state. Or if the judge has issued a warrant, we have to respond and again do a screening to decide where they go. Your intakes in York County doubled last year, so it went up to 12 from 6 the year before. And of course, I don't know the reason that it doubled other than your courts are also in juvenile having significant increases. So sometimes that changes with who your law enforcement officers are. Sometimes it changes with the number of law enforcement officers you have out in the community. You know, the more officers you have, the more able you are to catch the crimes that are happening in the community. Some law enforcement agencies are also more likely to call us than others. So we have some of our 11 counties that never call us and others that call us frequently. So it's really up to the officer discretion whether they call us for interventions or not. This next page is drug testing. So your individuals that are on probation or the problem-solving court have to call in for drug testing every morning. When they call in, they'll be told if they have to report or not. Once they are told, they have an hour to show up. That's so that they can't mess with their tests, so that we can get accurate tests from them. And we collected 3,892 drug tests over here last year. Drug testing is also set up by, it's dependent on the risk associated with drug use. So obviously, individuals that have serious substance use problems come in much more frequently than first offense DUIs or MIPs or those charges that are low-level first offense charges. Any questions on drug testing?
I assume it's just a random, and it's a computer system that they call in, or do you have to input who's coming in? Like when they call in the morning, it's just a completely random on who gets called in, or?
So it's based on
The
your substance use
Sure.
needs. And so the higher your needs, the more frequently you'll be called in. So when you get put on probation or the drug court, we give you a color. And the color is based, we have different colors for drugs versus alcohol and both, depending on what we test individuals for. And then different colors for each of the drug testing levels. So we have 3 different levels for adults and 2 different levels for kids. Along with the 3 options. And so we'll give you a color that meets your needs. And then the drug techs have to they have to meet minimum frequency testing standards for each of the colors every month. And so they create this schedule a month at a time and sign it in, turn it into their supervisor, which is Morgan here, for approval a month in advance so that she can make sure that we're meeting the required frequency of testing for each of the colors. Any other questions? This is the adult recidivism rate for the state. This is what I explained earlier. It used to break it down by county, but the system's not working by county right now, so I only have the statewide number this year. Usually I give you your county's number. But 81% is the success rate for adults that come on probation. Right now, that is individuals that are successfully released and have not re-entered or not had a new crime within 3 years of their release from probation or the problem-solving courts. The next page is juvenile recidivism rates, and the statute for that is successful release from probation without a new crime 1 year following the release. And the statewide average for that is 84%. The next page is your cost comparison. So it shows you the cost of probation supervision per day versus jails and prisons. Kids are the most expensive. Obviously, placing them out of home gets expensive very quickly. They average $35.21 per day. The adult probation cost for your medium or low risk individual is $5.08 a day. The highest risk are the individuals in problem solving courts, and they average $13.71 per day. The District 5 jail average was $79 per day for the jails within District 5. That's according to either the county attorneys or the sheriffs in each of the counties that we have jails in. And the average prison inmate cost per day right now is at $123.29 per day. This page gives you what I call a guesstimate if York County was to fund probation services. So having to pay for everything instead of splitting the costs with the state. The salary and benefits, training, mileage, cell phones, and those reporting center classes we talked about earlier. I just took your percentage of the overall budget And that's why I call it a guesstimate, where your adult probation services, problem-solving court services, juvenile services are the actual costs. So you can see the total cost that it would be there for your county if you were to have to fund that by yourselves. This chart you got with my letter for your budget request for this year. As I said earlier, the overall budget total did not increase, but the 11 counties do change the amount paid in every year based off of your census population and the percentage of active probation cases, which is those two blue columns. The average of those two blue columns is the red column, which puts you at 12.41% of the District 5 budget for this fiscal year. So your budget did increase a little bit to by $684.89 this year for a budget request of $33,997.75. And then this last page is the page that tells you the things that the state pays for as far as probation services versus what the counties pay for. Any other questions that we can answer for you guys?
Any questions? Yeah,
No, it's all expensive.
yep.
I mean, and the one figure that not only do we deal with probation costs and figures and stuff like that, but it's, the side that, the defending side, you brought up, Judge Amolka talked about our juvenile, issue. Do we see that in not only District 5, your 11 counties, but is that something we're seeing as a trend across the state? I mean, as you talk to other carries throughout the state, do we see the juvenile increasing that much?
I don't know, honestly. Chiefs haven't talked about juvenile increases.
Because it seems to be fairly alarming around here that we have a juvenile issue, and we see it as we're going to talk about our budget today. Our garden and lighting costs have went through the roof, and so I'm just curious if we see that. Do we see it throughout District 5 that has the juvenile risen and Platte, Saunders?
Not everywhere that I recall, but I have all the other 10 counties information, because you're our last stop this year. So I don't recall it rising that much everywhere else, but I'll send the figures over to you with the problem-solving court information, so you can check it out.
Doesn't make it any better, but it's just curious if other people are dealing with it, or if we have an isolated issue going on here that we just can't get a grasp on.
Any other questions?
Perfect, thanks so much.
Do you have the signed copy? Okay. This one, until I get you yours.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, try and move on down through this agenda. We have on here, discuss an act on letter of credit with Historical Society. Come on up. I just need you to state your name and who you're representing, and then you can talk to us.
All right. I'm Laureen Powell with the York County Historical Association. As you know, on the primary election, the voters approved a levy lid override granting us the ability to increase our tax asking to $30,000. This unfortunately didn't allow us the ability to spend that money. We're now going back to the voters in the general election to approve the budget authority so we can spend the money previously approved. This has put us in financial difficulties. At this time, we don't have the funds to pay rent and cover the cost of the 2 elections until we start receiving installments from the county. York County Historical Association is requesting a letter of credit from the commissioners so we can go to the bank for a bridge loan to help us get through this transition.
Very good. Anything you want to add?
No.
You don't, all right.
Yeah, so as everyone's probably aware, I serve on that board as well. Yeah, and working with on the previous election, working with the state auditor's office, the clarity, and we're hoping we had this all done right. We thought we had it all done right. Unfortunately, we did not, as it turns out. Yeah, so basically, we turned in a budget request of $30,000 to the county, knowing we can't spend that, knowing we need that money. Just that $30,000 just covers the rent and the light and utilities. Virtually the exact same thing that we give up from the county in making the move to allow probation to have the office space they needed. So knowing what the way the budget works and the timing of the budget doesn't really fit our needs, we've already contacted a bank. They basically are asking us if we can get a letter of credit stating that upon a completion of our budget, that the county will fund our request, but then they will give us a line of credit to bridge that need. So that's what Lorraine's here to ask today for.
Very good. So yeah, so the 30,000 that was mentioned, it is included in the budget currently. We're have multiple budget talks today. However, as Andy stated, budget doesn't actually get passed until September-ish. And so I guess it's what's in front of the board today is if we're willing to sign a letter of credit with the intention that we will honor that request and help them out. So that basically is what's in front of us today.
I guess on some side notes, foot traffic has been tremendous the days that we've been in there, the uptick in people as well as donations. The association's ultimate goal is to be a self-funded entity and not even have a tax ask in the future. But right now, basically starting from ground up with a new facility, fortunately we have a good collection, and now that we're open, we are adding rapidly to that collection as well. So a lot of exciting things going. Unfortunately, we ran into some difficulties here, so.
I think the one thing that, just so the public knows that, obviously things are gonna get fixed through the next general election, and this will be a one-time
Yes.
gift, essentially from the county. It will be up to the Board of Commissioners to decide where and how we fund it. Today, we'd be actually given approval for the funding. It just, the voters gave permission to go on the tax rolls. So do we go ahead and put it on the tax rolls here, or do we just fund it out of inheritance? It's will be our side conversation, I guess, that we're gonna have. But I'm completely for helping them. Obviously, as we just heard from probation, the space was needed. They needed somewhere to go. It's a misfortune that there was an accident or confusion or whatever you want to call it that happened in the last election. It just didn't work exactly like was planned. So I'm all for it. I got no problem with doing it as a one-time deal. I would make that a motion that we provide the Historical Society with a letter of credit whenever the chairman has the ability to write one up and sign it and get it to their lending institution, and then we'll figure out the budget after that. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion?
I just want to clarify, this is to approve the letter of credit and the $30,000
In a sense,
In a
but
sense.
really what we're doing today is just providing a letter of credit, backing the historical society.
Okay,
Okay,
roll call.
you bet. Let's do it.
Overmeyer,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Groves.
Yes. All right. Thanks.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Lori.
I'm sorry.
I guess if we don't decide who's in budget, we're gonna sell tacos off the street.
All right. We do have a few other things on the agenda, but we do have a number of officials in the room. So unless there's thoughts from the board, I think we'll go ahead and start in on going through the budget request with each of the department heads. We'll clean up what's left after that. All right, so the budget committee got together, talked about the requests that had came in. One thing that we had felt that maybe would be good to do this year is bring each elected official and department head that has a budget that they control to come forward in public session and share with the full board, not just the budget committee, what their budget request is and what their thoughts are for needing that budget. So we've asked them to come here. Like I had stated earlier, a few of them we will meet with this afternoon. I guess maybe we'll just, for a lack of knowing how else to do it, we'll just go down through the budget numbers with the ones that are here, and then if we need to go find the others, we'll go find them after we get through those that are already in attendance. So, Miss Mary gets to go first.
All right, can I talk about all three of mine?
Yes.
So, county clerk, register of deeds, and elections. Overall, all three budgets have, I budgeted 358,475 last year for all three. This year I budgeted 344,200, so that is a decrease, about 3%. County clerks, I decreased my budget by almost 2%. I did have a part-time AP clerk last year for 6 months. Didn't quite spend all of it, all of that salary that I budgeted, because I only had a part-time person for 6 months. I would like to do an increase of 75 cents in payroll and 25 cents in AP. My register of deeds, I have increased it by about 4%. I'm asking a $1 raise for my deputy. And I did increase postal services, well, that stayed the same. Education, training, I did increase in office supplies. I did increase that. I went over budget last year in office supplies. My elections, I have decreased that amount. I'm not looking at special elections this year, just one election. So I did decrease voting supplies and postal services. So overall, that budget was decreased about 12%.
When you say decrease, Mary, do you say decrease towards your other budget or towards actual?
No,
spend?
towards, well, what I budgeted last year.
Other.
Actual expense, I did increase about 9,000.
Okay.
Any questions on what I have?
Very good. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Megan.
Hello, Megan Williams, County Treasurer. I really didn't increase a whole bunch. The only thing that is new is that I'm asking for a new printer for real estate, and some new keyboards and mouse for, front counters. Last year we had to replace our other real estate printer because it was having issues, and the other one is the same age, so it's really not having issues, but I do have plans on using that, with another one of my employees. So that's really the only thing that's changed from last year.
Employees' wages, are we adjusting that at all, or?
I'm kind of in a transition period. I'm not planning on hiring a fourth girl this time, but I kind of want to see where we get to if I need to have somebody else. So that's why I was kind of retaining that,
I see.
at least for this year, and then see what happens for next year.
So Megan, I had a question along that same line. So that 106 that you spent last year actual, was that with 4 people or at the time? About how much of the year was that? Was 4 people included in that?
Yeah,
That was
The whole
probably
year?
full year.
yeah, full year, yeah.
But you're short 1 right now, Kurt.
Yeah.
No, she said she's full staff.
I'm full staff, technically.
She's not gonna replace
Let's-
that.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to help.
So do you think that 114 number's high then, based off of last year's spend?
It might be a little high. I could probably reduce it a little. I think I had to change my retirement and FICA too, because I don't think I had the correct number for last year. So I think I changed that as well.
But wouldn't that 114 just be for 3 people? Because the deputy.
Yeah, the deputy, oh, that's
So-
true.
So
Yeah.
it's only 3 people
Three
that got paid out of the 107.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So it'll still,
Yeah,
Same,
Now-
same.
same difference.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it'll just be 2 people
Mhm.
paid out of that one.
Okay, other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Here we did register deeds. Kirk?
Say register deeds.
No, I said we did register deeds,
Oh,
so
just
that
go
makes
down
it
the
that's
list.
the next.
I'm sorry.
I mumbled in my beard.
Kurt Bolgren, York County Assessor. I sent you all a letter back in early July, kind of going over my budget for this year. Some new things I'm wanting to add are, in an effort to modernize the office and make it more fine for folks to use, I am asking for some new items in regards to personal property, being able to file those online. I brought that to the board several years ago, and the board at that time had some, didn't like the idea of being able to search everybody's personal property down to their, every item listed on it, which I can see that. Vanguard has now designed that to where you can have your search like that, or account number and a PIN number in order to search property. So those PIN numbers are particular or specific to each account number. So you need both of those to be able to search a personal property. So the idea is when it's next winter, when we send out the notices about filing your personal property, start doing that stuff, we would send them their account numbers and their PIN numbers, so that if they wanted to, they could just file those online. So,
Do you know, I mean, it's not a whole lot different than it is today on whatever they bring in for their depreciation schedule or whatever.
Mhm.
When going online, would they still need to bring in a depreciation schedule, or just going
They
off the honor system, pretty much what you do today, or how did it?
no, they could, they would upload their depreciation schedule
Okay,
online then, and that way we could double check to make sure everything's listed. And then inside the system, then we can just push a couple buttons and it just updates our personal property files. So
What line item do you have that expense under?
that comes out of,
I think that was in
Data
data.
process.
Yeah, so that's another, that's in the 610.
Yeah, oh,
all the CAMA stuff comes out of data process.
gotcha.
So there's that, there's also, pictometry viewer, being able to just push a button in our, when you're in a parcel, push a button and it takes you straight to the pictometry viewer, so we can do our, desk reviews that way, makes it a little easier to do that. And then, another thing we're looking at updating is the Schneider geospatial quote there, doing our own parcel maintenance within the office instead of, hiring that out to a vendor. So that first year would, they train me up on how to do that stuff. And then, after that, I should be able just to do a lot of those parcel splits or combinations on our mapping by myself then. And that would save us some money down the road as well. Right now, I think we're being charged $100 an hour for all of our parcel maintenance. And then we would still, retain them for, if there's some trickier ones, bigger subdivisions that they get filed in June and I just don't have time to get to it, they'd be able to take care of that stuff for me. And then also, I don't know if you saw the email I sent to you yesterday, or do you have any more questions on the data processing?
So that's like the additional $25,000 in the maintenance license and agreements under data processing, then is that where that falls?
That 85, that's part of that 85,000, so.
And so in his request that that 85, it's a fairly significant increase from the data processing from last year, but one piece of that is the Eagle View. And in the past, I think we've funded that through the reappraisal, so we'll probably pull that out and put that on the reappraisal fund. So then there's still a little bit of an increase there just because of the items that he is talking about there. One of the things that I was gonna ask, it popped out here at me. The service hours, I believe that's with Vanguard. Are you out of service hours
Getting real
currently?
close to it now.
And then the archiving is a piece that we had discussed, I think, earlier this year maybe, or
Right.
late last year, I can't remember. And we had agreed that that was probably something to move forward with. This payment, because we were past the budget last year, they had agreed to bill us in arrears for that first year, is that correct?
Correct, yep. So going forward, that 8240 will be 4140. And the service hours, the way that kind of works is if they can help you out in less than like 15 minutes, and they typically don't charge you those service hours, but once it becomes maybe a little more of a project, then they start charging you for that.
Is there a break? Like, the more hours you buy, is it less?
You get a better rate, yeah.
Okay. And are we kind of in that?
Yeah, I just budgeted for the full hour that they offered at the biggest reduced rate you could get, so. And those carry over until you
use them all.
until you use them all.
If we get to a point where we're starting to need to look at not funding everything, that might be something where we could look and say, well, maybe let's pull back and not purchase as many right up front. Is that, I mean, do you know, does it go from, you know, obviously more, but 20 to 40? Does it double
I don't
in
know off the
per
top of my
hour?
head
Yeah.
how those work. Certainly find that out though.
Kurt, I'll ask the same thing. I guess I did Mary a little bit, reading your email late last night that came in. When you look at the new budget number that we don't necessarily see here, but we see that, and then you compare that to your actual that you spent, not what was budgeted last year. Have you crunched that wish into your actual numbers last year, your budget number last year? Because the increase, obviously, when we look at what was actually spent compared to your new is a pretty sizable increase. I understand what you're talking about with the wage and different things like that, which we have no control what you pay your people. We control your deputy, not the rest of them. But did you go by what was budgeted, or did you factor in that, actual was lower than what you budgeted?
I just looked at, what budget, like, yeah, what they were making last year, and then with those increases, I felt that I needed to do. So, I'd be more than happy to have someone review those numbers too.
And I think that's, as we look through it this year, it's gonna be hard to paint every office with the same paintbrush, unfortunately. We would love to say, all of them see 3%, but we know some are gonna be more than that just because of the needs that we have to get a little bit more parity on the second floor to keep that budget from going so bad. And, it'll be up to each elected official to pay what they can, but I'm gonna be basing more of it on what was actually spent and what is budgeted, not what was budgeted last year and then budgeted this year. Is where my eyes are gonna go as far as on the budget committee this year. So I'm sure we'll have more conversations over the next week or so to make sure that those two needs get met together. Not squashing it completely, but looking at what was budgeted and what was actually spent.
In regards to, like I said, I have done some interviews, and I would like to make an offer to someone sooner than later. I don't like keeping people hanging out there. Is there any sort of assurance that I can get? Because everyone's coming back, here's where we need to be salary wise. And my initial budget proposal to you guys was not meeting that.
Okay.
So I understand you guys have a process that you need to go through, but at the same time, we just can't leave people hanging out there in limbo, and then you lose a good candidate because they go somewhere else. So I kind of do need some sort of maybe assurance from the board that, we can get these wages, get some parity. I know you talked about the second floor, Randy.
I wasn't talking about personnel, I was talking about office,
Sure.
on the second floor. Our county court, we have to get that budget under control. Our public defender costs is just went, we went and robbed from everybody's budget authority to do that, to get it to equal. We've got to be more realistic on how we budget that. And when you look at, say we get 5% increase this year, I don't know that we have your numbers in yet to know what the growth and everything is exactly. But, last year we were tax asking of $8 million, rough numbers, and, half of that, $400,000. Well, we start, adding all those together, it starts chunking out of there. So, like I say, I think it's sitting down and going through the numbers. And, when we look at what was actually spent, for instance, in your budget last year, 253 and 279, that gives you, 279 was the original ask. The new ask, I believe, is 302. but, you know, that gives you 20-some thousand just right there alone. I didn't crunch any wage numbers, but that would be interesting to see how those wage numbers affect that, like when we go back to look at your actual.
Okay.
You know, because I know that you're talking about possibly wanting to pay more, but it's not double by any means. So, you know, you're not doubling anybody's salary, you're just bumping up. So I think it's just a matter of doing some math. And that can be done this week. You know, I mean, find some time this week to sit down, or later today. It sounds like we're gonna be here most of the day. Seems like you're fine. Good deal.
But yeah, and I know it's tough everywhere, but it's, I mean, it's, you know, we need to get some compatible wages here at the county, and you know, like I said, I hate to lose some good candidates because we just can't find parity in the courthouse here, so.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, and, you know, I would argue that our wages at York County are pretty decent with our benefit package tied in there. I don't know where people are coming from that they're, you know, possibly getting more, but there's a whole lot of people out there working that are getting less too, you know, so with our benefit package thrown in there, you know, so. But I think we can look at your numbers and get something figured out.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Planning and zoning, we'll see if Nate is not in the courthouse today. I'll see if he's around this afternoon. Otherwise, we can talk about that one this afternoon. Data processing, so we've been enjoying some time with some of the federal funds. LATCF fund has been funding most of our computer data processing hardware needs. That fund will be exhausted this year, so that means that some of that equipment needs will have to come back into 610. So there is a fairly significant increase in data processing. A lot of that comes from the requests that have been made from the departments on hardware needs. Let's see here. Got 6 computers for the county attorney, printers in the assessor's office, printers in the treasurer's office. Public defender is in need of a new computer. Sheriff gets around 6 computers a year. Extension always replaces a computer. Down in the emergency management office, we needed to update that computer. So currently, the hardware requests that have come in are right around 30 to 35,000. And so we've got about 14 left in that LATCF fund. So that brings about 20,000 of requests into the data processing. Also then the maintenance and licensing agreements have to be increased. Some of that is due to what Kurt is wanting. Others of that is just increases in contract costs. So last year, our actual spend was 215. And what to make the requests that have been made balance, we had to increase data processing to 280. So there is a significant increase there. So it's something we'll need to think about as we work through that. District Court will come this afternoon. So that brings us to County Court. Welcome.
Hi. I'm Allison O'Neill, Clerk Magistrate of County Court. So I know there was some discussion about the juvenile numbers earlier when probation was in here, so I figured out some numbers just from when I joined county court in February of '22. And these are complete filings for juveniles. It's not separated by 3A or probation. In 2022, we had 80. 2023, we had 82. 2024, we had 71. 2025, we had 122. And as of yesterday, we had 69 filings on juvenile cases. For adults, in 2022, 703. 23 was 735. 24 was 733. 25 was 968. And 26, as of yesterday, was 551 filings for criminal offenses. Those are the two main ones that we appoint attorneys on for those two kinds of case types. I think it's been made pretty well known. Our numbers have skyrocketed over the last year. We are on track to meet those numbers, if not exceed them, especially in criminal filings. Juvenile, as of now, is a little lower than what it was this time last year, which is good. But those seem to come in spurts. Last month, within 2 weeks, I think we had 7 removals of kids who was taken into custody. And then we went a couple weeks with none, and then it's kind of, spurts out again. So I can sit here and say hopefully, but I have no idea. We've had an uptick and a lot of crime, and unfortunately that affects kids, and then it's kind of led us to where we are through the court. What questions you got for me? I know they're coming, so let's go.
On the court-appointed counsel, with all the efforts that we've done in the last budget year, we're pretty close to paid up current on outstanding bills, as far as you know.
I think there's at least one attorney, maybe 2. I've heard from one that he still has anywhere between 10 to 15,000 that's out there pending. I've talked to him blue in the face. I've gotten tones. Everything else. He'll file them if he feels the need to, but and then I know there's a couple other attorneys that we don't use often that still have some bills coming in.
But probably not, we're closer to maybe 20,000, not 80 or 90,000.
Well, that's my hope.
Okay.
I will say during the time the public defender's office was not taking cases, from March 4th until June 30th, York County Court had 300 criminal cases filed in that time frame. Did all of them need attorneys? Not necessarily, but that's still a pretty significant chunk of cases that were filed within our court.
Yep.
And as you're monitoring the public defender through your office, is that now that the our public defender is taking cases, has your numbers went down a little bit as far as what your appointments through your office?
Well, whenever somebody applies through a financial affidavit and qualifies, we appoint the public defender first automatically. And then they keep the case unless there's some kind of conflict, or if they're representing a co-defendant or something along those lines.
Right.
Or, so I don't know those specific numbers, but I can say that we always, the public defender gets the first appointment.
Right.
And then they notify us and they, submit a motion asking to withdraw for whatever reason. And then Judge Homonka will take that up, and sometimes she sets it for hearing, and then depending on the circumstances, sometimes she just signs.
So as far as the attorneys you were talking about, that there may be some backlog, there may be some debt back there yet. We know if that debt is growing, meaning are we still pointing to know that
We are,
getting bigger?
our appointments are mostly for juvenile cases at this point. We haven't really gone too much out on criminal since the public defender started taking cases again. But most of it is juvenile as of right now. So I know before, when we were appointing attorneys for those criminal matters, obviously we had a big upclick of attorney fees to cover those. But since public defenders resumed, they get a mass portion of those, so.
So when you figured that 400,000 on yours this year, did that take into account right after the first of the budget year? We approved that number. did that take in that number to account too?
Partially, I did, that was a pure estimate based on, I went back through, my budget since I started here in 2022. And have kind of gone over about what I requested and then what you guys gave the county court. And other than the first year in 2022, the county court has consistently went over budget on attorney fees. So that was my basis of asking for more. Now, allegedly with the attorneys being caught up like they say they are, will I need the full 400? I don't know. You know, it was more of a safety measure than anything else because I have gone over consistently now for about 5 years. Anywhere between 20,000 upwards to over 160 some $1,000. You know, so I guess we were playing it safe after speaking to Judge Homolka because there has been a huge uptick in juvenile. And like we've discussed before, a simple juvenile case can have anywhere between 2 to 6 attorneys depending on the basis of the case. You know, so I never know what that's going to look like until the case is filed and we start to move forward. So.
And prior to your time, you know, there was some budgeting that was done that had too much cash reserve, and that's not fair to the taxpayer to pay that money.
Absolutely.
Upfront too, so.
I get that too. I was just trying to make sure we were covered for once.
We always pay your bills out.
I know, but I'd rather be able to have that amount. But like I said, I can sit here and say, oh, for sure, juvenile's gonna keep going up. I don't know that, you know? Like I said, even with the criminal cases, and one day we can get up to 25 criminal cases filed, and then other days we can have 4, you know? Even our traffic numbers are up. Everything is up other than probate at this point. We can't control when people pass away, obviously, and we don't control the guardian conservatorships that come through because they're under the same probate filing, you know, but even traffic, you know, last year we had over 1,800 traffic citations filed, you know, and now with the changes in those fees from the state level, that's a completely different ballpark. So we have a lot more going to trial. We have a lot more people fighting it, you know, which that's going to show increased costs as well, so. Anything else?
This is like kind of related, but for those cases where we get bills from lawyers way out after it should have been really, is there a way, I know we're a Dillon's Rules state, so sometimes the county doesn't necessarily have power in a lot of ways, but is there a way for the county to put a deadline on that? And we've talked about this before, be like, you know.
We can, but as long
6
as the
months.
judge approves it, we have to pay it.
Okay.
You know, we can
Yeah,
threaten it, but
I guess that's true, but.
I will say Judge Homolka is working with the other District 5 judges, county court level, to figure out if there is an existing court rule that we can enforce, but that's kind of in the black gray area right now. But that is something that she is looking at right now. But there is statute, and then there's case law that trumps that statute. So, you know, since I've started, I feel like I've kind of been the one to have to backlog certain attorneys to pay what they previously owe, you know, and that's kind of been the going theme since I started in February of 22. So, believe me, I'm very vocal about it. Sometimes it helps, sometimes, you know, it doesn't, but
It's mostly just for,
it's something that I very much have addressed multiple
We
multiple
appreciate your
times
efforts.
with a tone.
Okay, thanks
it?
much.
All righty, thanks guys.
All right, public defender will be this afternoon. Child support district court will be this afternoon. Do you know if Brian's around?
no, I don't think he is.
Okay, all right. Is there anything that we need to touch on that one?
No, I did visit with him a little bit yesterday. He was going to come back, Marion, and I don't know if he had an opportunity to pull some files yesterday. There was a couple of the line items that, you know, for instance, he had budgeted 1,000, he'd spent 2,000 last year, so he was gonna look into those. And then the other thing we have to look at is the wage why the
Right.
budgeted amount of the wage was X, which we should be going off their wage in 2080. And, you know, like in his case, you know, he was paid 3,000 less than what was budgeted. So we just need to look into that on his particular budget to see. Because once again, you know, we have to set wages yet, but when the department heads, elected officials turn in their budgets, they put an increase in there, and he put an increase in there from budgeted to new budget, not from actual. So we just have to look at that and make sure those numbers are all right. So other than that, I think his was pretty straightforward.
Extension, is also unavailable today.
County Fair Week,
No, not
usually theirs is pretty straightforward.
right, yeah, not a whole lot of crazy change there. Sheriff will come before us this afternoon. As well as the county attorney this afternoon. County jail will be with the sheriff. County surveyor, Rex is sitting back there. Welcome. All right, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, not sure, I noted the office supply stuff that had an increase there, that I've been trying to get binders to file surveys in. Been trying to, I've talked with that Redfields for a couple. They couldn't make a book. When I started talking to him this year, I've been working with them the last couple of months trying to, and they finally said, well, yeah, we can make you a book of a whole larger size paper. And so I theoretically worked through that, and they sent me an estimate to make a book as being $922 plus like $80 shipping or whatever, so. Yeah.
Yeah. Comments, thoughts, questions?
This will be one that, you know, obviously Rex is finishing off his term with us, and somebody has filed for that seat, so they'll have that budget, so I'm not sure. You know, one person did it, the next person's gonna use it, type of a deal. We do have contract services in there. I assume there'll still be some need for some contract services regardless who's in there, so.
Hopefully we'll, you know, if it's somebody that's capable of doing the work, then hopefully you won't have any more contracted.
There's much need for it.
All right, thanks.
So, well, so.
Thank you, Rex.
Like I said, the only other thing that I would know is to make comment about is the state highway projects that I know Brian Fall just called me the other day and said he had finished up the Highway 81 project, and I know you have a contract with the state for reimbursement on that work, so and just as a note for what's not gonna be in this next budget year, but talked with a gentleman from the state the other day, and they did York Highway 34, York West, you know, a few years ago, and now they're looking at York East. So that's gonna be coming up for that corner work, so.
Very good. All right,
Have a
thanks.
good day, Rex.
Thank you.
All right, noxious weeds. Ernie is unavailable today as well. Do you have
I can speak
anything
on that one, yeah.
Perfect.
So about three things I'll touch on here. First off, like a lot of offices, I'll touch on the wage. Fairly competitive where we're at for place that those duties is why the increase is in there. The other thing I'll point out is weed control. That's a significant jump. More mirrors the actual spend in 24-25. Reason we were able to have such a lower budget last year was due to a lot of old inventory we were able to utilize this last calendar year, budget year, not calendar year. So starting to dwindle down on those supplies. So the other thing of some concern there too is the Phragmites infestations that we're going to end up having to take care of is increasing that number. The other side of that increase on that number is our pay to spray stuff that we are doing where we are getting the money back. We've got a few of those lined up for next year. And when we say pay to spray, these are like the 1 to 2 acre stuff that the commercials won't address. Like the one we have to sign up right now is 1.5 acres of leafy spurge. So cover costs on that and a little bit of equipment costs, and of course the chemical costs is how we're lining that up. So there is some income side of this that will affect that number as well. Then the third thing I'll point out on this is we've got a $36,000 pickup entry. Now everyone knows you can't buy a pickup for $36,000. The other one's worth some money, but the point we're at with it, it's the estimated repairs needed to make it a functional vehicle and a safe vehicle for use is more than the value of the pickup at this point. So yes, there is some residual value in it, but not worth the repairs by any stretch of the imagination. So we are thinking outside the box, currently looking at some other different options. But that's the main drivers of this year's budget. So guess any questions for me? Worked pretty extensively with Ernie on this, so.
Very good. Veteran service.
All right. Biggest one here is payroll. We don't, not knowing what this year's gonna look like with Nick's situation, had to put more money into the administrative, put a little bit more money in administrative, put a little bit more money in clerical, to cover the increases of hours from what we had intended previously. Other than that, we made some increases in fuel, more and more. I wouldn't say more, but increased fuel costs are driving, or a driver on this one as well. Where's the other one? Pretty got real close last year on going over, so we thought it was we could increase that. We needed to increase that as well. Not sure on the veterans aid, to be right honest.
Yeah, that one,
I think that one might be, might be able to dial that back.
do you remember with veterans aid, is that, because I remember that $2,000
We was putting
discussion.
2,000 into that other
That
fund.
other, right, yeah, I think,
And then we weren't using that, so we
Usually,
it's 20-some thousand.
Yeah.
Now, we just quit until we were gonna use it, because I think Nick was doing a good job of
yeah,
finding state and or federal money, to take it, so.
yeah. That might be one we can
yeah.
knock out of there.
Any comments from the office?
Nick and I and Andy kind of worked on it a little bit, so, Veterans Aid, there's the state that we normally go to when it's a higher amount. We did recently have
a veteran that came in that was stuck here and she needed to leave her husband and had no way out. We gave her some money to be able to,
Sure.
but, you know, things like that is where we would use that money for.
Okay.
And do you remember what the fund balance is on that account? It's still over 20,000, isn't it?
I can go get it, but
I think it's fine, but it's somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, of the 3 years I've been with veterans, that's just that one time we've approved getting money out of that fund.
right, yeah.
But that's been out of that other fund.
Right.
Not out of the general fund.
Correct. All right, that's all I have on that one.
All right, cool, thanks. Handy bus. While you're here, we'll just go through all of your budgets. All right, how about it?
Okay. Tried not to go up very much this year because the, in DOT, we had further cuts over last year. And so, we've taken some steps to try and, reduce our costs to become more efficient. We no longer drive on Saturdays. Our expanded trips are down. Those are the ones that are, and we've tried to just things more efficient. And so the numbers here would be if we were to remain status quo and not increase, but not cut back any further. But if we were fully funded by the state and the county's portion would be much lower than it is. I figured out that the state, the federal portion that they've given us is 116,220. If they had funded us fully, that amount would have been 128,794. The state part has gone down. It's at 42,359, and if we were fully funded, it would have been at 64,397. So when it comes down to it, if we had been fully funded, the county portion would only be about 4,500. But with not being fully funded, the county portion itself, that's not all of the local because we have other funding that we have local, but the county portion is 80,000. So it's quite a big jump from being fully funded. So, and that is if we remain status quo. So if we need to reduce that amount that the county would be paying, we would need to reduce services further. And we did also raise the fares last year. So I can't really do that again. And right now they're pretty comparable to what's around the state. So, and we are not the only, this is a statewide issue. It's not just York County.
On the handy bus budget, you'll see that, if you're using, Jill's comparison one, you'll see a large decrease, but that's because the 50,000 that was in there, that was a gift that we moved to Busy Wheels. And so that disappeared out of this budget, went into the more appropriate budget, which is Busy Wheels. So that did lower it, but these are the numbers. Then on this side, we have some revenue that Lori was talking about. That revenue goes into the 100 as a general, but it is something that we're going to continue to see. As Luke talked this morning about the budget shortfall that the state's going to get, we're going to continue to see more pressure being put on the counties to pay for it, or we're gonna cut services, you know, and it really is unfair for us because we're in the front lines. And, so those will be tough decisions. And we talked yesterday just a little bit about, you know, where she did, you know, cut the weekend, cut the distance ones. Those are the ones that don't hurt as much, and be able to hopefully not cut as much through this year, so.
And trying to become more efficient with staff without, staff are already working hard. I'm not wanting them to just work harder. That's just
Right.
not, we can't do that. But just do efficiencies where we can.
Okay, AG is down. Thank you.
833.
Okay.
And on this one, you'll note our food costs the year previous were very high. And they weren't quite as high this year. However, they're still going up. What we saw was that we did raise our suggested contribution for meals from $5 to $7.50 a meal. And our overall contributions went down. We took in fewer contributions than we did at the $5 rate. For almost about the same, you know, slightly fewer meals, but the difference was very, very big. But so we did cut back. I did cut back on the meal contribution from what we had expected last year to closer to what we got actually.
Perfect.
And so bring that back in line. Otherwise, in, you know, operating expenses and supplies and materials, I tried to trim those numbers as much as possible. Building rent, I did bring it up because I have been notified by the senior center that we collaborate with them to provide meals to seniors, and we pay rent for the use of the facility, and they're going to be asking for an increase in rent. So I did increase that based on that.
So this is one that Lori and myself talked about a little bit yesterday too. And she talked about the revenue for the meals. There was a $7,000, what I felt was shortfall over budget on the revenue side. So without cutting any services, we dropped that down and put it in on the revenue side as transferable money in from the county general or from the county. So those will be decisions we'll have to make as, you know, because now that took it, I believe our end figure on revenue was a little over $100,000, somewhere in there to make this one. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Without cutting anything, that's the expense going on.
And realistically, meals, we are looking at having more meals go out because of the Meals Home Delivered program. The York, it was Church Women United, but now it's Meals Home Delivered. They no longer provide meals for any waiver for social service block grant clients because they don't, they no longer hold a contract with them. And so we've been taking on some of those as we can, which they are home delivered meals. So we're adding them to our Bradshaw route, our leisure home route, so that we can provide some of those meals. And I hope to be able to provide meals, you know, through the entire city of York and eventually. But so those meals we are hoping will go up, but.
Okay. And then is there anything in Handy Bus?
Just the transfer of the 50,000. We do have a vehicle that should be coming in with this next wave of vehicles that come in for NDOT. And then we also have a vehicle that is being requested, which is what the $50,000 would be being used for, which is a wheelchair accessible vehicle that would be replacing our big bus, well, our small bus.
Okay. What are you thinking to replace it with? Just
bus,
like
another
another
small
bus,
bus.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, we do need a vehicle that's a little, it has more seating room where we can take
Right.
more people. Plus our lower floor minivans, the pull-out lift is kind of a little narrow for some of the larger wheelchairs. And so we really do need that small bus to be able to fit some of the larger wheelchairs on.
Other comments, questions?
No, we just talked about the facility a little bit yesterday too, when we got together and, you know, we've had a little bit of a drainage issue up there in the past, with the roads department over the last year. They helped with, putting a berm up there that has helped. The one time when we got that 3+ inch, it didn't take care of it then. So there's been kind of an ongoing problem there that we'll have to keep monitoring and seeing if we can get something done. We did get their permission from the property owner to the north at one time to do some grading to carry it around to the north. But then our internet service, our fiber is buried underground right there. So that would all have to be adjusted and moved to, but that would be the best route, would be to do that. And the landowner's okay with that. It's just we have to go through the steps.
So we might have to move that internet.
We have, undoubtedly, we might have to go aerial versus underground or, you know, something, but it is something that we have talked about for a while. We probably should really get after it because right now with that berm, it worked, but then we're sending more water down the drive and that's rock back there and it brings the rock and muddy down the drive too, so.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we all covered yesterday, wasn't it, Lori?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Miscellaneous, I don't know that there's much of change in there, basically what we've been doing there. So that takes us through the 100. We've got some others patiently waiting. Is there a need for a recess or keep powering through?
Daniel?
Yep.
I need to go work on the floor. Would it be
Okay,
possible?
come on up. Yeah.
She'll have 2910, 2913, 2914, 2910.
2910 we'll start with.
So with the 2910 budget, I thought, since that's the larger budget, I thought it'd be easier if I went through percentage changes for each category and then we kind of discussed any type of bills or anything needed for the increase. When it comes to personal services from last year to this year, proposed, it's going to be a 1.5% increase. In relation to supplies and materials, there's about a 3% increase. More so office supplies, things like that we need in the office. Capital outlay is 0.4% of an increase. There is an equipment rental category that we did not have anything in last year, but this year we do need to put right around $2,400 into that. We had to purchase a printer last year and we are leasing it, so we're using basically moving money over. And then operating expenses is more of a larger increase. It's about 18% of an increase. The major increase there is within our maintenance agreement line item. With that line item, I had wanted to go from, it was 48,000 last year, and I have asked to go up to 69,542. We have quite a few maintenance expenses, and I have been able to mediate those. We have right around $80,000 in maintenance agreements, but I've been able to mediate some of those to come out of state funding and like our legacy funds. After this year, we will not have legacy funds left. So I'm going to be using up what we have with that. And so next year we'll probably see even more of an increase, but I'm just kind of trying to for a better lack of form, weasel my way up there to get where we need to be instead of a huge jump. Then in the grand scheme of things, from the total expenditures of last year to the total expenditures that I am proposing, there is there is a 3.4% increase. However, last year, 25-26 year, we were able to transfer $53,721.95 from that previous year into the account. And this year, we are able to move over $225,229.32. So even though I'm asking for more, the increase would not be 3.4, it would actually be for the total amount, 2.6% is what I'm asking for an increase for the total proposed budget. And that includes raises for all of my staff. That's what I have.
Questions on the main 911? Okay. Anything in 13 or 14?
No, we have 74,000 left in our legacy funds, and those are gonna it's gonna be gone after maintenance contracts and our 911 bill. That's just, there's not gonna be anything left of that. And then and that's the 2914. And the 2913, we're expected to get around 72,000 from state funds, and what's not used of that will be transferred over to the 2910 at the end of the year to help with expenses.
So the 2913 is the funds that the Public Service Commission gives us, they graciously give us, to help run a $1.3 million office at 72,000. You can see that it falls short. There is some efforts throughout the state to try to get them to increase that, and I don't know that they will pan out or not. But the one thing that we did talk about in our call advisory meeting was that, obviously the legacy funds, 2914, are gonna go away, and then those will get dumped into, the expenses from that will get dumped into 2010. So obviously that legacy funds needs to be done, but it's just one of those things where at some point in time, then we hope the Public Service Commission steps up just a little bit more.
And we got about $3,000 more than last year into this year, but I mean, hopefully they'll keep going up.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Since we're down here in the 29s, Gene, you wanna pop up here?
I don't know, that's gonna be pretty tough to beat.
So 2915 is the Emergency Management Fund.
Morning, Jen.
Good morning. I guess this is kind of a learning course, this first year for me anyway, so with the help of, with the help of Mary, I think we've got what we need. We kind of left a lot of it about the same, with splitting with Fillmore County with some of it. Some decisions have not been made of like the mass notification alert system, whether we're gonna stay with Seward or, I'm in conversation with Mindy because I want her opinion about it since they use it a lot more. But if we go with either on our own or with the 5 counties down south central, I think there's gonna be a little bit more expense if we do that. Or if we go on our own, if we stay, it'll be the same as kind of last year. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And I think what I did is on this one, I did for the dues and subscriptions, I think I upped that to consider us if we switched over either on our own or down south. It doesn't matter to me what is kind of done. It'd be nice just to have everything in one spot, but I'm gonna rely on Mindy, kind of how they would like to do stuff as well, so. As far as like the trainings and stuff, Mary and I talked, I think we got, there's two trips that I'm taking, one in November and one in February that I'm hoping, they say there's funds in our southeast region. And there's 5 of us emergency managers in the southeast region going to these conferences. So that went up a little bit, but those funds will be back. We'll pay for them and then the southeast will pay us back, pay the county back. So, so that looks a little bit different. And as far as wages, I don't know if Amy contacted you, Mary, kind of what they decided.
We emailed back and forth, but I have not received an email on the wage.
Okay, I will talk to her and see where that's at then, so. But, anything else from you guys?
Didn't we get a budget from Amy in Fillmore County? I mean, it's not
She sent
uploaded
us-
into our MIP system, but didn't we get a full budget from them?
Yeah, we got an email.
Is that what
from
you
her.
have, Gene? Do you have?
This is this budget here. I mean, I do have what I,
We do have, okay.
do you
I
have?
don't recall getting.
She sent it, Amy sent it, I can't remember
I
exactly.
think it was
when.
about the time you was gone, Mary. Maybe that weekend you were gone.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can find that and just plug in the
I'll look back.
appropriate numbers in.
Yeah, because the numbers we have here, you know, is
That was from,
short of what half of the budget from Fillmore, which is what we're obligated to.
yeah,
Half of the budget from Fillmore County.
so.
But on the other hand, the budget we approved last year is really close to
Yes.
half of what, so it's not like we're gonna see a ton of
No.
big increase.
So I'll get through this year and kind of see where it's at and see if we can either cut or have to maybe increase, but we'll see. Hopefully don't increase, but, the other thing I wanted to, just since we're here with budget and stuff, mutual aid meetings I've been going to and we've been talking, I, as an emergency manager, have some concerns with the communications that our fire departments have. They're struggling to communicate. So when we've only got 2 towers, which I know is mutual aid. I want to put a bug in your guys' ear and you guys can check with surrounding counties and kind of see how they kind of work the communications throughout the county. But I know when I talked to Adam and McCool, I know there's southeast, they struggled for radio communication. That concerns me, just the fact that lives, you know, when they go out for rescue calls, if something needs to be communicated where we have to get a helicopter out there, the communication's not really there. They struggle, and Greg, you can help me with this because if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
We have put together a committee that we meet August 20th. If anybody wants to join us, I'm game for anybody wanting to chime in. I know Greg's on it, but we're going to talk about kind of some different avenues we can go and kind of where we need to be as a county with everybody working together.
Right now, every department puts in dues to keep the tower system up and running. And insurance costs have gone quite substantially higher. Waco right now is covering both towers due to different logistic things. We have increased each department substantially what they contribute, plus the tower rents have gone up as well. We're just not keeping our head above water right now with the expenses of the aging towers and equipment.
Yeah, and talking to Bill, if one of is it Peter down in McCool that maybe we have to
It is
replace
giving
that?
issues, yeah.
So there's gonna be some cost, and I don't know if mutual aid can even help cover that, so. I have been in contact with Send. I know another EM that, got a grant, but he's not sure if it has to be for the statewide radio system or if it can be for any. As, I don't know if you guys know, statewide radio is a lot more expensive than some of these other ones that are out there. And then you also gotta look at if something were to happen with the mutual aid people coming in as well. This is just down south. We've kind of been collaborating together between, I know Clay County's thinking about it, their county, they got that grant. Fillmore just upgraded, Saline Jefferson. And I can't remember if Gage is in there or not, but we all went to a certain program. where eventually we can all tie in together while we can tie in together. So if there's ever any disaster or anything, I can take the cash radios from Fillmore County down to Jefferson County, like when they had that Rock Creek. That way they can have more cash radios. So we're kind of playing nice together in sandbox to get something done for the betterment of our community as well as our fire rescue personnel. I know I went to Rock Creek and the statewide radio system did not work down there. I've been to other fires where the statewide radio just did not work in certain circumstances. So we just need to figure out what's best for York County, the fire and community members, because it affects everybody. So, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up of we are meeting August 20th, 7, I believe.
I believe so.
And I can, if anybody's interested, let me know and I can let you know where we're going.
I think it's Bradshaw.
So, but I tried to get every community fire department involved. That way everybody has input, that we make sure we're doing what's best for everybody. So.
Is that a normal mutual meeting or is this a sub?
No, this is a separate, at the last mutual aid meeting, it was agreed to put together a committee to kind of go through and figure out what is needed.
Trying to get our infrastructure up to what it should be.
Yeah.
And how we get there.
Yeah. So that's one of the main projects that we'll be working on for that. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't know cost-wise if the county would be able to or not, but hopefully we can work something out because something needs to be upgraded.
Gene, if you would, send me the email on that date and time.
Sure. You want me to just send it out to everybody?
Sure.
Will that work? Okay. I can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
All right, let's take a 5-minute recess. We'll make these last few just patiently wait a little bit longer. Or wait a little bit longer, maybe not patiently anymore.
Gene.
You don't want those? I'm not really known for that very often, so. You know what? No, I saw yours. Because she has my email tag off. That's why I didn't get it. So I'm glad you sent it.
So you're looking through that, please?
Yeah, yep.
We'll have to make a decision here. She made it sound like on the one, there was like 3 different segments. She made it
Yes,
sound like.
and Everbridge was one of them. And
Yeah,
then
Leap
I-
was another one.
LAPC, yeah, and that one. I've been trying to get a hold of, I want to get a meeting with the LAPC with York and Seward, but I'm struggling.
So that just.
Yes, I do.
I'll make it. I'll make it.
All right, ready to come back? Okay. Come back into session. And might as well come on up.
All right.
Let's see. 995.
We can start with 995. I have 990 and 995.
Okay, so 990.
Okay, that's the promotion fund.
Okay.
So, obviously our budget works, just a little bit different. We take in the lodging tax that's sent to us by, the Department of Revenue at the state level. And so what we are projecting for lodging tax next year is $225,000. This year we brought in, $236,000, just around there. And so our balance carryover is a little bit lower. It's in the $170,000 range. And so just making sure that all of that money is accounted for. The places here, we've decreased a little bit in our office equipment repair. I just don't need that. It won't cost that much to replace all the equipment in my office if I needed to. So we decreased lodging a little bit. Increased the mileage allowance by $500 as we've seen kind of a steady increase of the IRS's mileage allowance. Dues and subscriptions increased a little bit. I know the Nebraska Travel Association and Southeast Nebraska Tourism Council have both upped their membership costs this year, but we're not having to pull anything out than our current balance and our lodging tax. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We are still keeping that around $200,000 set aside for those promotion grants. So, do you have any questions about the promotion? Right. For 995, our improvement fund, we had quite a big carryover. It's a little bit over $350,000 this year. We do have a couple bigger grants that we have approved this year. We just haven't seen any receipts for, so we'll be seeing those in the next year. We have plenty of money to cover what we have approved. Our salary line has increased because we added an intern, so she's been working about 15 to 20 hours a week, and that has been going fantastic. Since she does hit that 20 hours a week, I did increase the retirement as Cheryl informed me that she did sign her up for retirement. And then we did add a new budget line item, and that is for our rent. So previously it was being taken out of the miscellaneous line, but after that discussion with the department heads, we added that rent line so that if the state comes and audits, they can know exactly where that money is going. Any questions?
So the funds themselves and for the brand new, we get 4% out at the interstate for lodging. Well, not just the interstate, but any lodging properties within the county is charged an extra 4%. It's split 2% between both funds. And that's the revenue that's estimated to come in. So the improvement in the promotional fund each gets equally distributed into it. So it's one of our only funds that, just gets the money that the traveling puts into it. And so when she does the budget, she just makes it equal out with the expected funds to come in. So in a lot of those cases, do you expect to spend every dime in every line item? No, but it's the part.
Our usual expenses, like with our grants for the year in either one of these, is less than $250,000 for each respective fund. So, as our office costs are pretty reasonable, and so.
Comments, questions?
This will be another one that, we'll talk about the wages at the next meeting will affect, this office also.
Okay,
Great,
thanks.
thank you so much.
About out of,
Come on down. What's that?
we're about out of people.
We are running through. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay. So, yeah, you should have gotten two different versions.
We did. I don't know if everybody did.
Oh,
We might not have shared that then.
oh, okay.
The version that got uploaded was the version with tractors and
Okay, okay.
motivators. Well,
So-
one motivator.
We've talked about getting away from using the inheritance fund to buy equipment. So that's why we decided to put this into this budget. And that's a 16% increase. The one without the equipment is a 1% increase. I combined the 10303 and the 10304, so we're no longer road crew one or maintenance, so that's why you would see that all in there. I did, on the personnel services, there was a 1% increase in the whole budget. Our telephone service went up due to the iPads that we didn't purchase the iPads, but we're paying $20 an iPad per month. And you can see all of the deficiencies we had there. So in our operating expenses, there was a 20% increase in that group. We do have in the budget the inheritance loan payback. And that was carryover. That's not money that we need.
That one did get moved.
Oh, we moved that?
Yeah, so there's a line item for interfund transfers.
Oh,
And so we moved that.
Moved that there, okay.
500 to interfund transfers.
okay. Let me see here. Increase the parts and the labor, that continues to go up. Which brings me to the dues, training and subscriptions, razor tracking, we paid that already. Gascoy, and then we're looking, we would like to purchase the CAT software where he can plug into the CAT equipment and look to see what's going on with it before we call somebody out there. We did have, what was that called? J-Pro.
Yeah.
So J-Pro, you could plug it into more equipment, but it would never let you reset the code. So then you'd have to call them anyway. So we were paying for something that we really couldn't utilize without getting the code off of there.
Other hand,
Um,
our cat mechanic was local up until recently, and he's left the company. So with that came perks, pop in, clear a code, move on, which is no longer the case anymore. So for us to be able to do this on our own, it might be able to cut back on our outside labor.
we got, office supplies, I increased that. We are getting a new copy machine. We're talking really nice to the one we have right now. And I decided to purchase that versus lease it to save on the interest. Shop supplies, we took that down from 30,000 to 20,000. Same way with grater blades, just based on what we spent. same way, I was involved with the budget a little bit last year, but not a lot. So, and not being involved in that, I don't know why we had some of the numbers in there that we did, but versus looking at what we spent, that's why we decided to decrease some of those. Culverts, I increased that significantly due to the Road 16 culvert that we bought and installed. I don't think there's. I wanted to touch on the shed repair, building repair, I guess, line item. I did decrease that by 10,000. We still have not gotten a bill from the electrician that has worked on Area 9 shed. I know there's a generator there that hasn't been paid for. I was in contact with them, trying to get them to bill for services already rendered. That was probably a month ago. I've got 3 sheds, outlying sheds that don't have automatic door openers. Nobody's getting younger. It's just, it would be nice to have, that installed. Same with our sign shed. So based on, I'm just kind of holding that there until I get the bill from the electrician.
Really don't have any plans for building improvements right now.
Yeah, I think in the past, Harvey kept money in there to start repainting the buildings. That's why that was so high.
Last year, that was the case, yes.
A couple of them have pretty easy access to water and sewer. At some point, maybe we'll be installing a real bathroom in them, but maybe stair step it, maybe water 1 year and move on from the next, but no definite plans yet.
And not in this year.
Yeah.
They all have porta potties at them now, so they don't have to dig a hole and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
As I think Willard suggested.
Briefly touch on equipment. So we've got the machinery and equipment, 225. I believe that was a tractor and a mower.
That machine, when we take it out and do that kind of work versus the trees. I think they have to even change the blades maybe.
They should
A different
anyway,
type
yeah.
of blade, so.
Yeah. The tree chopping blades are pretty blunt, whereas the grass ones would have to be sharper. We do have a set on hand, but the switching back and forth is not conducive. In the past, we had 3 tractors and shredders, and through attrition and wearing out, we're down to 1. So we do have 1 tractor that's kind of in standby mode because of transmission issues and whatnot, so it's parked. So I don't know, it's another thing like the John Deere that we did sell on the auction, that where do you stop dumping money into a piece of equipment that's going to eventually just completely crap out, so.
I did change the motor grader dollar amount, so in talking with John Deere and Cat, the machine that we're wanting to trade in is not worth very much. We thought maybe it would be because it ran better than the other one, but they said no. We're thinking of ways to improve that whole process and get that better. We need to start looking at trading them off when there's fewer hours on them, maybe still under warranty, and we're gonna have to do something creative.
So something, I'll elaborate on that a little bit. Something we've been meeting with John Deere and gonna meet with Cat on is doing something similar to what Fillmore County just got done doing, buying multiple machines. If you buy multiple machines, you get large discounts. Looking at what Fillmore done, we could probably save ourselves 50,000+, if not up to 125,000 a year, doing multiple machines and switching them out more frequently. Now to do that, of course, we're gonna have to finance these machines. Now, a lot of times the multiple machine discounts, if you get in that 3 to 4 range, are 20+% per machine. So when you factor that against even an 8% interest, you're 12% ahead. Plus we'd be getting rid of a bunch of junk that's costing us, I would say on average a year, about $90,000 if you're looking at half of the machines that we're spending a lot of money on. So just kind of teeing up what this board's gonna get presented here in probably the next couple months is a new plan to A, have better equipment, B, have a lower cost per year of expense, and be able to update our fleet. All this is in mind of potentially losing the inheritance. How do we keep this? And that would also allow us, if we're doing multiple machines more frequently, better resale, zero repair, next to zero repair costs, and then also allowing us to reduce fleet as well. So wouldn't have the need for now. The thing that everyone always wants to bring up when you say we're gonna reduce fleet is what happens when you get a huge snowstorm, right? Also looking at our other equipment purchases like a tractor, what's the utilities of those? We already made one step in the right direction this year with the 550 and blade we purchased, being able to get rid of a lesser used piece of equipment, replace it with something with 3x the utility. So walking very cautiously through these processes to make sure we don't cause ourselves future issues down the road. So.
When you talk about doing this in 2 months without any type of budget.
After the budget's approved, right?
Right, but how are you planning on implementing it then in 27 or hopefully implementing?
Hopefully implemented this year. It would actually lower the spend on a grader. It would lower that number anyways. So we'd still be well within, say the budget gets approved and we put 375 in for grader expense. That number that we would spend would not exceed that. So it really, what we're looking at has no budget ramifications this year, except for potential savings to the budget. So I wish we could have some more definite details, facts and figures before the budget's approved, and we'll work towards that as much as possible. But today, with what we know, we can't present anything. The roads can't really come in and present a budget that's not something similar to what we've done in the past. So.
Well, and I think that it'd be interesting, I hadn't heard anything about what Fillmore County had done, but, you know, we've been through what the Fab 5 was, and, you know, that wasn't a great deal. It didn't seem to be, especially when this board changes every so often and you start implementing something. So it would really have to be something that would be a lot different than that at the time.
Yeah.
Because we just got rid of one of those, you know,
Right.
local machines too, so.
I think the initial plan with the Fab 5 didn't see its end. It was originally done to beat the DEF requirements. And I believe the scope back then was to continue that.
In knowing that today we don't have to swap, we don't have to do it this way, we can supplement it with inheritance, but knowing that someday we might not be able to, that it's good to have those numbers in mind.
I think the other thing that'd be interesting too is if we have counties that have success with something like that. Because I know that when we approached Andy, I believe you brought it up to them, you know, and
Beliefs.
one of them, you know, I can't remember which one, Cat or John Deere said, well, you know, we just don't see that because obviously the commitments and different things like that. So having some success stories is always positive too. Yeah, it isn't just the 5 people here you gotta convince. There's 14,000 people live in the county. You gotta convince them too that we're doing the right thing.
Bridge buyback, anything that in there? Pretty
No.
straightforward really there, probably.
Yeah.
Any other questions for these folks? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what else we got. Adult diversion and juvenile will be with us this afternoon. No more. Motion, we went through reappraisal. So this is Kurt's. We talked about that. So mainly what comes out of here is the commercial appraiser, as well as the pictometry. Covered raw.
Daniel, do you want to touch on just a little bit? I know you're going down through there.
Yeah.
The different funds that will be added.
On juvenile.
Right.
Yep. As they present this afternoon, juvenile and adult obviously are grant-funded operations. Adult diversion funds operates 100% on a COSIP grant. So the tracking and accounting for the federal government on adult diversion is all handled through the 666 fund. Juvenile diversion, which is the 667, that program is a combination of state and 2 separate federal grants. It's been brought to our attention that for compliance, those for accounting purposes, those need to be separate budgets.
The juvenile and adult.
Even the juvenile for each grant that is.
And then disappear. But the one, and we can ask for which one is which. I'm not sure. We didn't have the numbers when we met with them. The one is the grant that we haven't got yet. You know, that they've asked for. So it may or may not come in. So.
That fund would just won't be used if that grant. But yeah, the adult diversion has 1 grant, juvenile diversion has 3, actually 4. But 1 ends at the end, and they want them separated, each grant to have their own fund.
We skipped over insurance in 100. So while I'm flipping through here, I believe we budgeted a 15% increase in the health insurance.
Just over, a couple $100,000.
Yeah. County relief, which is the general assistance, we maintained that pretty close to last year. Should be fine. State institutions, we did increase that slightly based on the actual, so this is like the EPCs that we see come through. Opioid, through talking with Mary and through some of the state trainings that she was at, we might have some options to be able to utilize that fund for some different things. There's 91,000 in that fund. There is a contact at Region 5, I believe, that can help us walk through that. So we'll want to do that so we can start using some of that money. The other one I guess here is tax. basically, those are just the little pieces that we put in there are all the requests from people that have come before us. So when we go through the budget workshop at our next meeting, we can go through and decide if we're increasing, decreasing, or what we're doing with those budget requests. I think, other than the ones that are gonna come this afternoon, I think we've talked about them all. This is where we think we're gonna have to cut them down and then, bring it to the whole board and start working through what we need to shrink in the places we can.
So I would say that if there's anybody from the board that has any recommendations or thoughts or stuff like that to get through, get a hold of the budget. Let those be known ahead of time, would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, through the morning session of budget discussion with department heads, I'll open up the public comments if there's any from the public that would like to speak about anything today.
Thank you. Willard Peterson, 514 Road 13, York, Nebraska, but I'm from Bradshaw. I was hoping you'd do this because I can't be here this afternoon. I have a grandson that wants my attention and he's getting it. Anyway, thinking of all this process through here, one thing has become very clear to me, and I'm preaching to the choir. You guys already know this, but it's getting down to the time where the state tells you you got too much fluff in your budgets and the state doesn't have any fluff, or we're going to find fluff in our budget. Nobody has fluff anymore. There isn't any. So anything that gets cut in budgets anywhere is a direct cut in services. Direct or indirect cut in services. You already know that. I get that, but I just wanted you to know there's other people that maybe need to hear that. The other thing is I appreciate what you're doing here about, trying to get things out to the public and having the department heads come in and talk a little bit. I also appreciate that they're keeping it pretty brief. Appreciate that a lot. Again, thinking about things that might go away, thinking about inheritance and so forth, what the roads is talking about doing, trying to think of a long-term plan somehow to make the issue with equipment and stuff, which is a huge expense. That's very commendable. I hope it can happen. And of course, everybody realizes, it can work-ish. But make sure you put an ish on all of that, because that's exactly what it is. All right, and the last comment I would make is about some of the things, your comment that you're gonna have to get kind of down and dirty and to tell some people no or not as much or whatever. I understand that also. But I want you to think about when you cut services, when you cut money, you're cutting services. I'm thinking about some of the other people that have presented in front of you. I'm thinking specifically of Hope Crisis, Blue Valley, Region 5, CASA, those kind of things that seem like they're easy ways to kind of maybe not put in as much money. But when you're talking about, you listen to the court lady down here, Allison, talking about, you don't know what's going to happen. You cut a lot of stuff out of Hope Crisis, Blue Valley, Region 5, and CASA that will make your court cases look a whole lot worse, period. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public?
Oh, I understand you guys get all that, but I want you to know there's people that are thinking it too.
Thank you. Seeing no others get up, we'll go ahead and close the public comments and go on through a few of our other items here. We did lose our roads department. We have discuss and act on county annual certification of program compliance resolution. Yeah. Okay, very good. Very good.
I didn't figure since they were certified.
Right. Yep. So as far as I know, we're doing all that we're supposed to be doing. Rick and Ashley continue to run a good shop out there. Any comments, questions regarding this certification?
No. Move to approve the county annual certification of program compliance by resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bowman,
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Overmeyer.
Yes.
Robertson
Yes.
and Rhodes.
Yes. And it does require everybody's signature on there.
Excuse me.
Discuss an act on designating the method of notice for a meeting of Board of Commissioners. So this comes out of the new, changes to the open meetings law. Mary has worked with other counties and came up with a resolution that basically states that on a regular basis, quarterly, she will publish when the regular Board of Commissioner meetings are. And then also with Board of Equalization, that with reasonable notice, those will be posted. One of the biggest changes, and this is up for discussion if this board disagrees, there's not necessarily a requirement to have a specific time for Board of Equalization. So the notice that we've come up with basically says that Board of Equalization will be held during the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners that begins at 8:30 on, and then whatever day and date it is that we feel we need to meet as the Board of Equalization. This then would allow us to convene as the Board of Equalization at any time during our regular meeting. And so it wouldn't necessarily have to be right at 9:30 or 10:30, whatever it is. Now, as we go through and like next year having protests and whatnot, we'll probably want to have a specific time. But this allows for those one times when we need to have the assessor come and present a tax list correction, or the treasurer has a approval of a exemption on a motor vehicle or something like that, that we don't have to be watching the clock and convene at a certain time. So that was probably the biggest change on those.
Now, does this change our requirement then to advertise our meetings regularly?
Correct. We don't need to
We
anymore.
won't need to regularly in the newspaper, but we will on our website.
Still do it on our
Facebook.
website.
I'll do I'll
This
send it to the
covers-
website, yep. This
And-
covers.
And emergency is still covered under.
That
emergency.
still, we will have to put it in the newspaper. If we can't, then take it to places, put it on the state website for that emergency meeting.
And
If I can't,
likewise-
put it in the paper in enough time.
And likewise, the emergency meetings we can call in
Yeah.
24 hours if there's an emergency.
Correct.
But those circumstances that could arise that could use, for instance, insurance deadlines or stuff like that.
That would still have to be published in the newspaper as a special meeting, not a regular meeting.
And definitely, so we want people to migrate maybe a little bit more to our website, because that will be the place.
That will be the place where but if we're having both meetings, those will be.
And is this to combat the loss of newspapers?
I believe
throughout
so.
the
That's
state?
a huge, that is definitely a huge
And the
worry that we're not gonna have newspaper publishing. And I left it kind of generic. I didn't put York News Times. I know every year we designate a newspaper to publish, but in my resolution, I left it a newspaper in circulation in York County, just in case York News Times isn't in business in 5 years. We don't have to come back and amend this resolution.
Would you, okay, but you do in the third and fourth paragraph, you do in York News Times.
In the resolution?
In the
Or in the
No, in the
notice?
meeting notice,
In the
is what I see.
meeting notice.
That's what I've got up in front of me right now, where is the meeting?
Well,
Of
that
the
would be
dates
the
and
meeting notice, but in the resolution itself, I put the
Okay.
board desires to publish in a legal newspaper of general circulation. And I could change that, whatever news published in
Are designated.
designated, that's a great idea.
And you said you worked on this with other
Yes.
clerks? Good. Smack him.
I can use
Too cold.
Gary's copy.
Too cold in here, you can't move very fast.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Oh, the one thing I was gonna say, in that, if you noticed in that notice, that will be published, it does say unless there's a holiday, then the meeting will be held on another day, with an advance notice. So it kind of falls into that same, special meeting or whatnot. If July 4 falls on a Tuesday, then prior to that, with reasonable notice, we'll decide when we want to hold that meeting. Or just hold it on July 4.
We can do that.
I was looking forward, I think maybe there's one in 27 and maybe 2 in 28. I don't think there's any this year. Okay.
And move to adopt a resolution
Thank you.
to cover the designating the method of notice for meeting for the Board of York County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call.
Overmeyer.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes. All right, discuss an act on signers for the veteran checking account with York State Bank. What do we know about this? Anybody has?
The veterans checking account.
You know anything about it?
Yeah, sure, come on.
Does have Leroy Odds name on it,
Yes.
we need to remove. Does it have Jack Sykes on there?
No.
No,
Took
Just
Jack's.
Leroy.
Right. Leroy, it was Leroy, Nick, and, yeah, Chuck Byers, yes.
Is Chuck because the committee designated Chuck, or
he's
is he the president of the
He's the president of the Veteran Service Committee.
Okay.
So we need to add Mary Beth and Andy and take Leroy's name off.
Right.
They just need to see that in minutes, obviously.
Yes.
They need to see that one.
So move.
All right. Then do I need to, once I get the minutes, take it to York State, we'll get a card
Yeah.
and then we'll sign the card
Everybody will
and go
sign.
from there.
Okay,
and then you can take it back and.
okay. Sounds good.
If we have to vote.
We have a motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
Perfect. All right, discussion? Roll call.
Obermeyer.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
And Groves.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Discuss and act on adopting resolution to appoint Barb Keister and reappoint John Persia and Becky Green to the County Aging Services Advisory Board for a period of 8/1/26 to 7/31/28.
And Maria's not here.
We had her.
We did.
These are all returning members of the board, I believe.
I don't know if Barb is.
Barb is
Barb
not.
is new? Okay. Barb would be very good.
But then, it's always good when we get people to donate their time to that board.
Yeah.
There's always open seats and so I think it's a great thing. Becky has been on there for a while. I think John just won. Just one.
One term.
Yeah, I think so. I moved to adopt a resolution to appoint Barb Easter and reappoint John Persia and Becky Green to the York County Aging Services Advisory Board.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Obermeyer.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
And Groves.
Yes. Okay.
The order.
Mhm.
You did.
Oh, did I not call your name?
No, you did it. You got everyone.
I got all you guys shaking up.
Discuss and act on special designated liquor license for Blended Distillery for an event August 29, 26.
This was just the parking lot area, right?
Yep, so we did one of these for him, for Derek, a couple months ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Um,
Motorcycle rally, I believe.
That's right, yep. This one is going to be for a cornhole and something.
Kickball.
Kickball,
And
yes.
he's having vendors, different types of vendors
Food
there.
trucks and such.
Food trucks and, yeah, merchandise.
It is a little larger area than he normally does. He does indicate a fence. I don't know if the fence is there, if he's putting up a temporary
Fence
fence.
is not there.
As you seen in his letter, he wrote that he wasn't able to be here today. Usually he is here every time in front of us. To my knowledge, there's never been any issue with any of his gatherings out there, nor the gatherings that he's done at Wessel's too. So I think he's trying his best to make his business work, and I think it's a good deal.
Move to approve the special designated liquor license for Blended Distillery for the events on August 29th and 26th.
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bowman.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
And Groves.
Yes. Okay, discuss and act on adopting resolution to approve county inventory.
Did it go good this year, Mary?
Yeah, it did. Dee did really well. She picked up on, inventory
Okay.
and checking it over and.
Good. And we get to sign those.
I'm right here.
Really? Them and then birthday cards.
No?
I told Joe his hands wouldn't hurt today.
Joe, you need a stamp.
Maybe.
Move to adopt a resolution to approve county inventory for 26.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion?
Oh, this is a resolution, right?
Yes.
It's a resolution.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
No.
That's what I meant to second.
It's the resolution, yes.
All right, roll call.
Bowman,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
and Rhodes.
Okay, committee reports. What's been going on?
Really?
That one's pretty good.
Let's don't forget the August 17th, zoning. Remember Nate, isn't it
Yes.
August 17th?
It is, I do believe, yes.
Couldn't believe I forgot that.
August 17th,
Monday.
5:30.
yeah, 5:30, was it?
So,
5:30 or so.
My main thing is
Yeah, I have my phone ready.
budget.
Indeed.
Main thing for me. So I don't really have a whole lot of opinion.
Okay, very good. Deb?
I either haven't been to any meetings.
Joe?
I'm pulling up the email. I think I got something. I don't know if it was important. I'm meeting with Four Corners this next week to talk about their budget.
Okay.
And then, yeah, see how that goes.
So this is
I think the other thing was, I think Send is doing like a survey.
Yeah, I think you're.
Community
About
survey.
that or something.
Let's see, if I can find it.
Andy, anything while he's looking that up?
Just what we've already discussed with the roads department, so.
Yeah, we had a good whole group meeting with the roads department, after our last meeting. It was on Thursday following our last meeting. So it was good to be in front of all of them again. Some safety discussions, and Ashley and Greg talked to them about just some different things that they were seeing. Talked about the iPads moving from a paper tracking system as far as what roads they've been over, requests for gravel, et cetera. Moving that to the iPad, so more automated, so hopefully that system goes smoothly. Then it was a webinar that I listened to while I was walking soybeans for the joint public pink postcard meeting. So we'll need to be getting that information. You know, Kurt has reached out to the different subdivisions as far as what their availability would be, and or if they know at this point if they will need to attend. That meeting statutorily has to be held between the 14th of September and the 22nd of September after 6 o'clock. So we'll get that scheduled, and then probably next meeting when we're going through, we'll have somewhat of an idea of whether or not we'll have to attend for the county
A
side.
couple schools that will have to, so we're gonna have it here, I believe, on the
Okay.
16th. It worked best for them at 6:01, just to keep that in here.
So the 16th of September?
And only one representative needs to be there, so if York is not involved, York doesn't have to be there, but there has to be a representative from each subdivision. So if York is involved, then someone, preferably, probably the chairman.
Well, I thought Deb wrote it down. I thought she'd do that.
It's in the room.
So if it's just the schools, no, none of you will have to be there, but I probably will schedule it for here if there's two different schools that are gonna be involved.
There's two that need it already.
Yeah, the one for sure, Heartland for sure, McCool, maybe.
And then that was at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be after 6 p.m.
Will this be big enough?
That's a good
And they have
question.
gymnasiums.
We haven't set it
We
in
don't have a
stone, but that's
gymnasium.
our itinerary date because both schools said, yeah, the 16th would work best for them.
It is a Wednesday night. I
And
don't know if that-
maybe something like, I don't know where else we would
Could go to.
go, because I remember when
Well, like
it was
say-
Heartland, York, and, or was that McCool? And
Pool,
us, Heartland, McCool.
Heartland and York
It was
all
pretty
there.
packed in there.
It was really packed.
Mhm.
And if there's, you know, I think it's been somewhat of a hot topic over there. I mean, Heartland,
Yeah.
maybe they could host it.
Yep.
The new gym.
And we could, and because they would have to
idea.
run, we wouldn't have to rent anything.
Correct, that was
Because
my,
I would question whether we'd
but
be
if
big
we
enough.
go to the fairgrounds and rent the 4-H building or something, that
Yeah,
might
but
be
we-
big enough.
If we don't need, if they can provide it,
Yeah.
and they have to be in it anyway,
Right,
we don't
if
have
they,
to rent it.
right, that's true.
I can drive to Henderson.
Right, exactly. Good idea. I like it.
Okay.
Let's
Might,
put
might float
that
that idea. Henderson.
Yep.
See if they are able to, especially if they're the only ones too, because McCool may not.
Yeah.
I thought, ooh, it would be, if we don't have to, Henderson would be the ideal place if they're the only ones that will have to be participating.
They already know they have to, let's just
So I
tell them
wonder,
we
I
want
told
to.
her we need the valuation, so we need so we can figure out, so we can set this, so he's working on it.
I don't know. I think postcard don't matter about valuations, does it?
Well, we need the valuation to figure out if we need to have the pink postcard. If we're over,
I see, because we get, yeah,
Correct.
never mind.
That's a percentage for overruns.
Okay, cool. Let's do this. Planning and zoning, sat through that on Monday. Had some meetings with diversion last week as well. And yeah, okay. We shall adjourn till 4:30. Recess, thank you.
Oh, I will mention, I found the send email. They're putting together their strategy for the 2027 to 2031. Their strategy, economic development strategy. So they'll be reaching out to probably businesses around the area and stuff as well to figure things out.
Okay, we'll recess.
Good deal.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna end this live stream.
In the budget book.